A little dog content for you today.
So if you're like most people, you probably think that kibble is the best thing to feed your dog and that human food or table food is dangerous and you shouldn't give it to them. And I want you to understand that you believe that because of advertising. Now first, if you follow me for my political or musical or makeup content, whatever, you may not know that my main business, what I do every single day, is work with dogs, write about dog human history, and study dogs. I've been doing it for 14 years now. Like a lot of other things, more has changed about our relationship with dogs in the past 150 years than in the tens of thousands of years before that. The dog human history predates civilization. It predates, at least civilization as we have been taught about it by the current culture, but let's just leave that for a different video. But one of the ways that dogs got the job, so to speak, of being around humans is by eating our scraps. That's literally why they, came to hang out with us. And it wasn't that we intentionally chose early wolves and that became proto-dogs. It was just that our lifestyles were really compatible, our family structures were really similar, and we just lived lives that were parallel, and they became closer and closer until they became just one single life. So the first dog biscuits were in the 1800s, and they were hardtack biscuits with just a little bit of beef gristle and fat in it. And those were marketed as the fancy thing to feed your dog because it was something produced and you could buy it in a box. But it wasn't, nutritionally better for dogs by any stretch of the imagination. Then as mass production continued to increase, we came up with processes like extrusion, which is used to make cereal and things like that. We were able to make more shelf-stable, little bits of kibble that we could feed to dogs. And then something called the Pet Food Institute started to promote kibble as the best thing to feed your dog. And you can look all this up. I'm not, never take my word for anything. But the long and short of it is, people started hearing ads and being told that dog food is the best thing for your dog and table food's really, really dangerous. Everybody believes that chicken bones are gonna immediately murk out your dog. And yes, is there a danger that your dog could poorly eat a chicken bone and suffer gastric distress? Of course there is. There is also a chance you could be struck by lightning. There's a reason that there's things called doggy bags, and that bones are one of the symbols for dogs and have been for a very, very long time. And yes, it's possible that there are foodborne pathogens in raw dog food diets, for example. That's definitely possible. But if you look at the numbers, it is much more common for regular old kibble to get recalled for health and safety reasons than it is for any of the raw diets or anything like that to be recalled. I'm not just a dog lover. I believe so strongly in the relationship between dogs and humans that it's really, really deeper and more beautiful than a lot of us have really thought about. I mean, everyone, even historical figures like George Washington, Alexander the Great, the Red Baron, Manfred von Richthofen, all of these people, dogs were such a huge part of their life and affected their stories that history would be different were it not for dogs in some really huge ways. Dogs, in the end, were the first heating system, they were the first sanitation system, and they were the first alarm system for humans. And much more importantly than their utility, they understand affection and love and relating and living in family structures very similar to the way that we do. The idea that animals, dogs especially, don't experience affection. People are just oh, the dog doesn't really like you. It just likes food and it just likes cuddles. And it's yeah, me too, baby. And a lot of the reason we don't give animals, dogs, and all animals, the credit for having the same type of emotions, maybe of a little bit different caliber, obviously, and through a different lens of experience, certainly, but that they experience things less than we do, that they're somehow just functional automatons. That comes from people like Rene Descartes, and that comes from a religious way of thinking that animals are just lesser. They were put here for humans. And a lot of us, even those of us who believe in science and who know better, still have those ghosts in our head because, like everything in society, we were all educated to believe that the world works a certain way. And that is to work with the way that certain people want it. It's not necessarily for our benefit or for the benefit of the people who have been, the non-human people, who have been our best friends for literally 30 plus thousand years.